Welcome to the How to Heal podcast, the show where we explore real life stories and practical tools to thrive. I'm your host, Lindsay Tremarky Richter, and through over a 15-year journey of all things healing, I'm here to hook it up. If you're feeling overwhelmed, looking for a deeper connection, or straight up in a psycho-spiritual crisis, I got you covered. Let's unearth your unique elixir to purpose, peace, and progress. Here we go. So we're going to talk about the mental category of the podcast, and this is near and dear to my heart. You know, mental health is highly stigmatized. Once somebody is diagnosed with a mental illness, if you go walk into a psychiatrist's office, that psychiatrist is going to be looking at your record and saying, okay, like you have a disposition towards this, and you are going to be more inclined to fall back into this pattern, which is true, yes. But like in reality, that is stigmatizing in itself. Like, I don't want the baggage. But the fact is that we have to take responsibility and accountability for our own healing. You know, it's a huge part of mental health in itself, just accountability and looking at life and saying circumstances happen to us in life so that we can rise to the occasion and grow from them. I'm not saying all bad circumstances that happen to us are our fault. But what I am saying is that it's our responsibility to look at those circumstances and say, what can I learn from this? How am I contributing to this? And how can I can be better because of this? How can I beat the odds and show everybody how it is done in another way? This happened to me and I'm better because of it. So when it comes to physical health, your gut microbiome is directly affecting your mental health. Mark Hyman talks about this. He did a whole series, Broken Brain series, on how he had fatigue and couldn't get out of bed, and how that was directly related to all these physical factors in his life, like mercury fillings, exposure to mold, unhealthy diet, lack of exercise, etc. Stress. Stress. We'll get into that in a second. And hustle culture. You know, I think we need to really not underestimate and put value on the effect of having a healthy body is going to really like make your mental health much better. And when it comes to anything, and I talk about this in the physical podcast, we need to minimize the noise, the consumption of the socials and the news and the music and the television and the gossip and and the loudness, like just the volume, the sheer volume of things. Let's get hyper aware of what we're consuming mentally, whether we realize it or not. And that is directly also related to thoughts and the quality of your thoughts. It's a really, really important thing to look at having integrity and cleanliness of thought. Being nasty and talking poorly to yourself, or being nasty and talking poorly to others, is going to ensure you have poor mental health. You cannot be mentally healthy and then just talking poorly about yourself and other people. It doesn't work. And by the way, if you think like, oh yeah, I'm a bitch, but I'm like nice to myself. No, you're not. You're just not clocking the negative thoughts that are coming into your mind because they're hidden and they're subconscious. So like, stop gossiping. Stop. It's enough. One of the books that I love recommending to people is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the four agreements really quickly are: be impeccable with your word, meaning don't gossip, don't talk poorly about yourself or others. Even thought is basically your word. Don't make assumptions. So you don't want to be assuming that others are doing something that they're not, or that a situation is going to turn out, or worrying, or, you know, that making assumptions is no bueno. And then the last thing is don't take things personally, which means like, it's not about you. People have their own stuff. It's okay. Like, even if it is about you, it's really not about you. And I said, three things because in reality, there are three things. The fourth agreement is like do all of those things to your best ability. So just remember to do all of those things. The four agreements is so important when it comes to good mental health and integrity of thought. So I think when we talk about the four agreements and we talk about being impeccable with your word and not gossiping, when it comes to social obligations and social engagements, I think this is where the lines can get really blurred. Because when we show up socially with a lack of boundaries and a wanting to be accepted, we joke around about things that are not funny or that are just not like, it's not an integrity. So, like, there's a difference between having fun, which is totally down. I'm totally down to have fun always, being funny, which, yeah, definitely. There's people who are funny and super tasteful and responsible ways. And then there are people that are not funny and that are just sloppy and mean. So let's just be aware of where those boundaries are being blurred so that we meet other people in the way that they think that will make them like us more or perceive us as more intelligent or like better than. That is, the vibration of the humor is so important. It's so important. Like I scroll through Instagram and I'm like, unfollow. This is not funny. This is mean. So, we really have to stop people pleasing or joining the crowd of what we think is acceptable and funny or whatever, and just stand really strong in our integrity. Yeah, and then I think we just have to understand that like poor mental health is directly related to emotions and what we are willing and unwilling to feel. And this is a process. This is not something that just happens overnight. You're not just like, okay, I'm gonna, it's like it's an onion. You peel back the layers, you go deeper, you go deeper, you go deeper. You can't possibly feel all the emotions at once. You have to start small and then you can get a little bit more advanced. IFS is a fabulous form of therapy that goes through your emotions and the different parts. There's a book called No Bad Parts if you're interested to read that. That's about all about IFS and what it is. But we have to adjust our emotions in order to be mentally healthy. That is the bottom line. And, if we don't, it's like we're putting this gorgeous garb over this decaying carcass and we're like strutting around and looking beautiful. But on the inside, like people are feeling that energy of like lack and decay. The real ones really really feel it. I think not everybody understands, the level of phoniness and superficiality that we're inundated by in this current day and age, especially on social media. But like in order to have integrity and respond and take responsibility of our mental health, we have to understand what we're running from, what we're hiding from, and we have to be okay with it. And it takes work. It's not just like I recognize it and I'm okay with it. That's not how it works. It's not. I wish that it was, but it's not. So, one other thing I want to talk about is just hustle culture and burnout. And when it comes to it, you know, hustle culture is all about strength of will. I am all for strength of will. I am not all about hustle culture. Hustle culture is just so dated. It's so whack. Like it's done. If you have a goal in mind that you want to accomplish, great. If it is a goal that is set with proper intention, with understanding like what you're sacrificing for that goal. But when you just run towards something for the sake of having that thing and you are not in touch with how it is affecting you physically, that will lead to burnout. Hustle culture is all about mind over body. And again, like we are not valuing body more than mind. It's just not a thing. You have to be physically healthy to be mentally healthy, period. Period. You need to rest. You need to take things away. In the first episode on physical health. I talk about decluttering and creating space. Same is true. Same is true here. We must take away in order to breathe, in order to be aligned and in sync with the natural rhythms of the winds and the breeze and the rain and the earth. This is not hokey. This is it. This is true. We are humans. We are nature. We are animals. Like, let's do this. So here we go. Listen, I'm going to tell a story about mental health, and it is about bullying. And I have a 4-year-old daughter who's about to be 5 and is in kindergarten. So I'm super sensitive to this. And, my first stint with bullying was when I was 5 years old, and I was on the bus alone and bullied so severely by I don't know, 5 kids. And I came off the bus and I had like a nanny, and I was like, Anna, I was really bullied and I'm scared. And, and her advice was to go on the bus and curse them out, which I did. And then I actually never got bullied again. So that was good. But the next fast forward is when I'm 12 years old and I changed schools. Severely bullied, severely bullied. Like, to the point where I'd be standing online and I would know that making the assumptions, the poor mental health, knowing that everyone is talking about me, or feeling that everyone is talking about me. Fast forward, I'm 30 years old at a party in the Hamptons and being bullied by a bunch of middle-aged people, where I'm like, is this really happening? And by the way, at that time, my mental faculties were not in check. My physical health was not good. I was burnt out. I wasn't resting. I was taking in more than I was not taking in. And I just had a lack of boundaries. Now, when you're a kid, you can't really expect a kid to understand what boundaries are. But as a 30-year-old adult, you can. So that's where it comes into just taking responsibility of your healing journey, taking responsibility for the things that you've done to contribute to your poor mental health and looking objectively at them. Sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. And a lot of the times it's picked up along the way, picked up as a kid. A lot of it's subconscious. So I get it. It doesn't happen overnight. But I'm so excited to be talking about mental health on this podcast because it has been a huge journey for me. And I'm so excited to share and interview people with different techniques and modalities in order to address it. So thanks, guys.